Can distinguished speakers, the senior most IEEEians of Kerala section, and the participants. Right now we are having today 10 senior most IEEEians of Kerala section who has served IEEE in different ways, and most of them are served Kerala section as chair, secretary, and so on. Some of them have volunteered for IEEE region 10 and like that also. So let me welcome all of you to this meeting. And now, as per the seniority, our KPP sir is having the senior most member of IEEE in Kerala section, and KPP sir is having 56 years of IEEE membership, and he is the senior most. Let me introduce KPP sir to this our audience, and I will read a brief biodata of KPP sir, KPP Pillai sir, and KPP Pillai sir, graduation and post-graduation from Government Engineering College, Trivandrum in 1957 and 1960, and he secured first rank for both BSc Engineering and MSc Engineering from University of Kerala, and he received the Prince Avittam Tirunal Gold Medal from University of Kerala for bagging first class in the engineering degree exam. And KPP sir joined the Department of Electrical Engineering CET in 1960 and became professor and continued. Then joined the Director of Technical Education as Joint Director in February 79 and continued to February 83. Then joined NBS Engineering Research and Consultancy Center as Chief Executive in February 83 and continued till April 89, and received 2 national awards for innovation in industrial process development as Director of NBS. Worked as principal at Government Engineering College Kannur from 589 to 391 and at Government Engineering College Trivandrum from 491 to 891. Worked as additional director and advisor at Kerala State Nirmidi Kendra from 1091 to 1093. Worked as director of School of Technology and Applied Science, MT University for 2 years, and worked as the executive secretary and program director of Indian Society for Technical Education from 597 to 799, and worked also as the special private secretary to Minister for Education, Government of Kerala from 999 to 2001. I welcome you, sir, to this meeting, and I invite Dr. KPP Pillai sir to give your experience in IEEE and your unforgettable experiences or memories in your life to the speakers as well as the audience of this webinar. I invite you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Kasi. My membership profile in IEEE will show that I am retired from every walk of life. In fact, deleted from the hard disk of education. Professor Muhammad Qasim has now recovered me from the recycle bin. And so here I am trying to remember some early IEEE memories. The first early memory is that when I joined IEEE, there was no IEEE. There was only IEEE, which later on, sometime in 1965, merged with IRE and became IEEE. One early IEEE memory is eagerly awaiting the arrival of IEEE Spectrum every month by post. Spectrum in those days was an intellectual treat. There were critical book reviews of most recent books, excellent books. And if the review was excellent, then I immediately got a copy ordered for the CET library. And that was how we got some excellent books in CET library, like the mathematical functions by Abramovich and Stegun, which told me that there is an elliptic integral of the third kind. I have never heard of that. I thought there was only first and second kind of elliptic integral, but there was a third kind. And that led me ultimately to a new line of research. Similarly, there was another rare book on earth electrodes by G.F. Tagg, which showed us how to map buried structures and underground tunnels through resistance measurements. Now, all told, IEEE spectrum was a mine of information, helping us in lifelong learning and in fighting obsolescence. Well, my first research paper in transactions of the IEEE, Industry and General Applications, was published in January 1965. Now, preparing and sending the paper was an ordeal. There was no digital computer in those days. Nobody had heard of an A4 size paper. So I requested Valavi and Company opposite the secretariat. They were leading suppliers in those days. I asked them to cut some A4 size paper for me. Now, 4 copies of the article were typed on A4 paper using carbon papers. Now, the 4th copy was not quite clear. So another set of 4 copies was once again typed all over again because the typewriter had no memory. From the best 4, then the best 4 copies were taken and packed with all drawings, ammonia paper, transparencies, and a cover was specially designed for me by Valavi and Company. They were very helpful. So I put it in the cover and they sent it by airmail to New York. It required a postage stamp of 48 rupees. My salary at the time of joining was 175 rupees. Monthly salary was 175. Out of that, this postage came to 48 rupees, postage alone. The article was accepted and it came back suggesting some minor corrections. So one more process of typing 4 plus 4 copies of A4 paper, ammonia prints, again postage stamp for another 48 rupees. So with 3 such articles in IEEE articles based on my PhD work, I was about to go bankrupt. This was, this was an early experience, I should say. Well, finally, an amusing incident. When I joined IEEE in late 1964, they recorded my name as K.P. Parameswaran Pillai. Well, that was pretty long, a bit too long. It required 23 spaces. So I requested, when IEEE came over, I requested that my name may be curtailed to K.P.P. Pillai. IEEE immediately responded, promptly responded, and changed my name to K.P. Pillai. Then I wrote back saying they have reduced 1 P, so please make it KPP. IEEE promptly changed my name to K. Pillai. Another P gone. So it became K. Pillai. Then I stopped writing. I thought if I write once more, they will take away the remaining P and I will become K. Illai. So I didn't complain. I remain as I'm happy that I'm K. Pillai in IEEE records. Anyway, this is a very happy occasion, seeing all the faces have changed a lot. How many years since we have met in CET? Well, so I thank Professor Professor Muhammad Qasim for giving me this opportunity of seeing you all and participating. I'm more eager to hear your experiences because you had more involvement with IEEE all along, so many years. So let me now give way to my other friends. Thank you.
Sir, your sweet memories. We would like to hear some sweet memories.
Well, after about, a time came when I had to keep away from mostly IEEE as well as IST activities, but only faculty development programs I participated in many places all over India. At a time when there was less than 500 engineering colleges in this country. I had the good fortune to visit 280 of them in those days, all over the country. The northernmost one is in Gurdaspur, which is beyond the Wagah border with Pakistan. So right from there up to Nagargovil, I had the opportunity to go around and give faculty development programs. But IEEE also, when Gomadi was there, looking after the students chapter, I had occasion to interact and well, all those, now that I am past, as I said, I have been deleted from the hard disk of education. So anyway, this has given me an opportunity to meet you all once again, and this is a very happy occasion. Thank you, Professor Kasim, for that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now I invite our ND Nair, sir, to take on. And let me introduce ND Nair, sir, to the speakers and audience. Speakers, all of you know ND Nair, sir, but the audience, they wanted to hear a few briefing about ND Nair, sir. And our ND Nair, sir, please join. And ND Nair, sir, he was the secretary of IEEE Kerala Section from 1984 to 1986, and the chairman of IEEE Kerala Section for the 2 years, 1989 and 1990. And his working experience started his career as biomedical engineer in the Biomedical Engineering Department of Medical College, Trivandrum, and worked there for 8 years. Then worked as the head computer division, Keltron, Trivandrum for 12 years. Then vice president, Asianet Communications for 1 year. Then vice president, CMS Computers, Trivandrum for 12 years. And chief editor, executive knowledge lines for 12 years. And once we went together to invite then Central Minister K.C. Venugopal to Alleppey for a program of our TKM College of Engineering. At that time, ND Nair sir, Damodaran sir, and Bijina, Sunita, etc. were together. And at that time, ND Nair sir was told that some experience, to share some experience. And at that time, he was telling me that the effort that he took to introduce the traffic signals in Kerala. So that was a really wonderful hearing or experience sharing at that time by ND Nair sir. Anyhow, I invite ND Nair sir to share the IEEE experiences and his this unforgettable memories to the audience. Please, sir, ND Nair sir.
Where is NT? He had joined, but now not seen.
ND Nair sir is there?
Yeah, we can see him. Rajesh Nair's iPad. That is the
yeah.
Okay. Then please unmute and join me. Okay.
Yeah, he's unmuted. Yeah, he's unmuted. Yeah. Yeah. Now okay. No, he's still unmuted.
Alan, please give access to Rajesh Nair's.
Yeah. Hello, okay. Sir. Yeah.
Hello. The mic is already unmuted. So
And give access, yeah. Rajesh Nair, that actually he is not ended with the ND Nair, that ID. Ended using that Rajesh Nair's ID. Alan?
yeah, yes, sir. Yeah, sir. I had given as a co-host, and he can now.
ND Nair, sir?
Hello.
Yeah. Please.
Speak.
Yeah, we can hear, but click the video also.
Not here.
Yeah.
Hello.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Indira has come.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can see you. We can hear you.
Okay. Now, probably in my career, IEEE has given a real push all over. And I happen to be associated with it. And KPP Nambiar, you know, the well-known KPP Nambiar Kelro. He was there in IEEE. So with all those supports, I could very well form or I could do quite good in those areas. Now, 2-3 things as an IEEE life member. I'm already a life member, you know. Life member means with your age and the years of working with IEEE, it should be reaching 100. So I have a life member status that way. Now, 1 or 2 things I will highlight. Technologies are not static. They change overnight. And we have to be in touch with them so that we are current. In some engineering fields, technologies change overnight, putting people working in those fields at constant pressure. Some such areas are computers, electronics, communications, and such other advanced technology areas. If some practitioners feel that what they have learned and are practicing would suffice for the rest of the life, they are in danger. These and such other factors being realities, one has to be prepared to take steps to circumvent these threats, to name a few of these steps. 1, participate regularly in technical forums where such advanced technologies are discussed. Before retiring to bed, I am repeating it, before going to bed, every night, spend few minutes recalling whatever new has been learned during the day. It's some sort of going back to, on the day's activities to see whether you have learned anything new during that day. One day has been spent or wasted. If you have not learned anything, then it is really a waste. Maybe from the technical meetings we conduct regularly on Wednesdays in Institution of Engineers or in other forums, we get the opportunity to learn and hear from other engineers. Journals usually carry latest information about developments in the technology areas. And they are to be learning forums and you had to make full use of the opportunity to go through the journals, the study, and read them and assimilate whatever you get from that. Also make that you take short notes while you go through it. Otherwise, it will vanish the next day. Short notes in a small book, notebook, would be very helpful to bring back the whole scenario to your mind when the coming days or next day after a few days go through it. Internet is another great source for such information. Make use of it. I don't have to say that we had to do it. Every one of us, we make full use of the internet as a source for information, and we benefit. And you had to be a listener. That is the point I want to make as the final point, especially in technical forums. If ideas are discussed, are not clear, do not hesitate to intervene and seek clarification. Luckily for us, we have the joint meeting sessions at Institution of Engineers every Wednesday, and also at other occasions when you are able to interact with other fellows, as also learn from an expert who is giving a lecture. One thing as a final point I want to make, if somebody is going to talk to us in the Institution of Engineers or in IEEE other forums, say half an hour, he would have spent tens of hours to search and come back to us with a little bit or a very small, concise form for us to easily take it in. So that is the point you have to always keep in mind. Somebody else has toiled and he has brought in a little for all of us to absorb and also make use of in future forums. That's all. Thank you all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, NT Nair sir. Thank you very much for joining us. And now I invite Professor Dr. Gomadi teacher, my own teacher at College of Engineering Trivandrum, for the next session. And let me introduce my teacher. And let me, yeah. Teacher joined College of Engineering Trivandrum as one of the two lady students. The first two ladies, one of the first two lady students joined in 1957. And the other lady left in between, if I am not wrong. She didn't complete engineering. She got married and, yeah, right?
Complete, but she passed out in the next year, 1962.
Yeah, okay. And teacher graduated in 1961 as the first woman engineering graduate of University of Kerala. So that credit also comes to our teacher. The first woman engineering graduate of University of Kerala. That credit comes to you, teacher. Then Professor K. Muralidharan sir, also my head of department at that time when I was doing my PG there. A year senior to teacher in CET became her life partner. And Dr. Gomadi teacher took doctorate from IIT Kanpur in 1979. and joined as a faculty member in the electrical engineering department of CET and became head of department and retired as the joint director of technical education in 1994. A popular teacher and a great mentor to her students, Dr. Gomadi was the first faculty advisor of IEEE student branch of College of Engineering, Trivandrum. That is the first student branch of Kerala also. That credit also goes to CET. And the first student branch advisor, that credit also goes to our Gomadi teacher in 1983. And then became the first woman chair of IEEE Kerala section in 1987 and continued as the chair for 1988 also. And she also became the Region 10, that is the Asia Pacific Student Activity Committee chair for the next 2 years. Receives many awards from IEEE, and teacher is with 2 daughters. The elder one, Sharada Muralidharan, is a senior IAS officer working as the principal secretary, LSGD Kerala. And the second one, the youngest one, Girija Muralidharan, she graduated from College of Engineering, Trivandrum, and currently working in United States of America. Now I welcome you, teacher, to share your IEEE experience and your unforgettable memories with the audience. Welcome you, teacher.
Thank you and good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
The other day, when I talked about this to my grandson Shabari, he said, IEEE എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ടീച്ചറിന്റെ അമ്മൂമ്മയുടെ കഴുത്തിന് ചുറ്റും നാവാണ്. Right, I used to love IEEE activities. Looking back, I can see my room in CET, a fairly spacious room with students busy looking at the journals of IEEE, and my student typing a letter to be sent to the IEEE head, and some students sitting in front of me discussing about how to organize the seminar, etc. So actually the student branch was organizing a lot of seminars, talks, fundraising activities, mock interviews, all activities. And then about the library, the IEEE allows the formation of student branch library for about $300 annual, while the institutional library has more than about $1,000. But even that $300 was a big amount. So I remember I approached the government. Government said, we have no provision to student branches any funds. Then I remembered I had a neighbor, one gentleman, Jamal, who was a successful businessman in Dubai. He was a very serious, tight-lipped man. But then, ആവശ്യക്കാർക്ക് ഔചിത്യമൊന്നുമില്ലല്ലോ. I went to his house and asked him, I said, you may be knowing a lot of CET alumni there. Please convey my request to them to contribute some amount of money so that I can make $300 and start an IEEE student branch. Immediately he said, teacher, you want $300? Well, it's for a good cause. And in my hand, a check came for $300. That started IEEE student branch. And together we were seeing the postman coming with bundles of journals, transactions, magazines, Spectrum, of IEEE, and we were stacking all those journals inside the room on the uh, available books. Very soon we found that we were going out of the tables. So, one day, Principal Jairam came to my room and looking at it, he immediately ordered for magazine racks. So we had a Pakka IEEE library functioning inside my room. And then I remember writing a letter to K.P. Nambiar sir. He was, at that time, he was the MD of IEEE Bangalore. Asking him to spare some experts from his company so that we can conduct a workshop at CET for the students. Not only that, he immediately agreed and sent 3 experts from ITI who stayed in their own expenses, gave wonderful lectures, but also funds for the student. I'm very grateful to him. Now, one interesting thing is, at that time, the SAC, the Student Activist Chair of Region 10, was called Sobul Ann. And hearing that name, I had no doubt she is a lady. So, my correspondence with him or her, as I thought, were very informal. And he used to liberally give funds for conducting SPACs, conferences, etc. for the student branch. And when in one of the section congress is where the section chairs meet at a section. So in such a meeting at Singapore, I met Sobul Ann as a stout Korean man. I was surprised to see him as a man because I thought he was a lady. And the activities that we organized, especially the student paper contest, I used to encourage the students with the materials from the IEEE student branch on certain topics, and they used to prepare good papers, and the paper contest used to be materialized. And out of the papers that were presented there, the good one we took, and with that we produced a IEEE student branch magazine. So such activities were the student branch. I only remember my students who were very active in the student branch, like Achut Shankar, Sharda Rajendran, who is presently the section chair, and Prakash Chandran, Arun, Bobby, the list goes on. Now, before I conclude, let me tell you an interesting experience of coincidence in my life. This has nothing to do with IEEE. We went to Kanyakumari along with some guests of ours from America. And after spending some time in that meditation room, came out And we were walking along that ground when suddenly that lady came and said, "Auntie, I got this eardrop here. I don't know whether it's gold. If it's gold, please sell it and give the money to Abhaya." I readily agreed. Okay. So I was holding that. And while we were coming back, we took the boat back. So the boat stops at the next one, that is the statue. Some people from the boat were going to see the statue. Some people from that Valluvar statue were coming in. I said I am not coming, so I just remained there. And a big crowd came into the boat. Mostly North Indian ladies and men. And one lady was sitting just in front of me, and she had a padda,
Oh.
and she was holding the padda like this. I saw the eardrops she had, similar to what I was having. I just looked at that again, verified whether it's the same thing, and then I asked, "Bhain ji, आपका दूसरा झुमका," झुमका means this thing. She said, "खो गया." I said, "Hey, le lo." I think that's the best coincidence I've had in my life. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, teacher, for your nice words and experiences. Thank you very much. Okay, and now I invite our CM Varghese sir, the Vice Chair of Educational Activities, to introduce our EE Rajya Kumar sir. And teacher actually 44 years of IEEE membership, and our NT Nair sir 45 years of IEEE membership. Now EE Rajya Kumar sir also 44 years of IEEE membership. I request Varghese sir to introduce our Rajya Kumar sir. Varghese sir.
Good evening, everybody. So it is so nice to see all our senior-most IEEEians together and hear from them. In fact, I was privileged to work with them during my cultural days at Trivandrum, except I think KPP Nair sir, all of them I could interact or work with them. And it's so nice to hear their experience and all the audience also. I think I'm sure it was a good experience for them to hear. For me to introduce Engineer Rajya Kumar, live senior member. He was with IEEE for last 44 years. And as a senior life member of IEEE, belongs to the 1970 batch of Electronics and Communication Engineering from College of Engineering, Dundee, the oldest engineering college in the country. And he started his engineering career in the Baba Atomic Research Center and subsequently was posted to the Space Science and Technology Center, Trivandrum. And Space Science and Technology Center was christened as the Vikram Sarabhai Spender after the unnamed demise of the founding father. And he is the innovator and the chief architect of the onboard flight computer system powering the PSLV and the GSLV satellite launch vehicles of the SRO. This is an entirely indigenous technology effort with its unique IT ecosystem and the processor being produced in our national foundry at SCL Chandigarh. Later, as the director of the Computer and Information Group of ESSC, he oversaw the emergence and evolution of IT-enabled infrastructure, empowering the vast scientific and administrative community of ESSC and the rest of the organization under ISRO. And I still remember the days we had been at Trivandrum where he was working in the IEEE, the Computer Society and other activities as chair of activity during 80s and 90s. And now over to Rajya Kumar sir. Rajya Kumar sir.
Thank you, Varghese sir, and Rajya Kumar sir, please. Rajya Kumar sir. Rajya Kumar sir is there?
Yes, yes, I'm there. Can you
Yeah,
hear
yeah,
me?
yeah, he can. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'm clear, right?
Yeah, sure.
Right, right.
Okay. Okay, so I would like to tell you how I became an IEEE member first. Okay. I came down from Bombay to join SSTC in 1971. And my task was part of the flight computer section to make a computer for our launch vehicles. That was my task. And if you remember those days, we didn't study all these things in our college, right? I studied vacuum tubes and transistors was my project work. And when I come to work, it is already integrated circuit technology. And to cap it all, nobody teaches you how to design a computer, right? So, and we were a third world country, and all these technologies are banned for India. So we were a very enterprising group. We are trying to plan and launch satellite launch vehicles, satellites, etc. It was all a dream, but we are all planning, right? So I joined the ISO organization at the inception. So where do you find information? Where to start? The best start is library, right? And incidentally, our center has got the biggest library in South India, a technical library. Those days also the library was good. And there I find all these journals, IEEE journals, and then electronics publication by McGraw-Hill, electronic design, EDN magazine, all kinds of things, they are the source of our information. All right. But then there was a rule. You can't take the latest journal out of the library premises. And we want to read and digest. So it is best thing you do it at home, right? And I said, okay, then I'll subscribe for it. And that's how we're subscribing to IEEE Transactional Computers, Spectrum, and the Computer Magazine. I became an IEEE member. My initial subscription was for the IEEE Transactions and Computer Magazine. Okay. So primarily that was a motivation. Nothing else was a motivation. And then it so happened, Dr. D.S. Rane, one of the senior people in SSTC, I had a lot of interaction with him because I was involved in designing a computer. It was an exciting topic. And he said, why don't you become an IEEE member? We are going to meet Professor KPP Nambiar. The moment he mentioned KPP Nambiar, it rang a bell in me. See, in my 1969, when I was doing my project work, it was on wideband amplifier. We were trying to build a completely transtrace oscilloscope, except for the CRT tube. It was a very challenging project. And I was doing a lot of, my task was in the signal amplifiers. Okay, so in my search, I came across a paper by KPP Nambiar in Arizona University. And that was cited in Con and Con. I don't know whether you remember all those textbooks. It was, I think, analog amplifiers, analog computers. So it's great. I like to meet him, Okay, so that's how I said, okay, this gives me an opportunity to meet some great personalities. So I remember one of the first meetings, myself, Dr. D.S. Rane, and Mr. N.T. Nair was there, and I think one more person was there. I don't remember who was there. So we got started like that. Okay, so my primary motivation was to learn technical things and to interact with great personalities. That was my motivation. All right. So what is the exciting thing? What happened? Because these are all very short interactions, I would like to be very brief. See, in 1984, the task of conducting a seminar, national seminar on superconductivity was put on my shoulders. I think Govind teacher was a section chair, and I don't know what prompted them to choose me as the convener of the conference. And by nature, whatever I put my hands on, I try to do it perfectly. So that leads to a lot of friction. I know it. I think Korath was my deputy convener. I think he was very upset with some of the ways I was doing things. But the interesting part of it is, it was a 3-day seminar in December 1984.
And the interesting thing was all the big personalities who came for the conference on the first day, Friday, the Thursday evening, they all stayed till Saturday evening and left. And that is very unusual. Usually all the big persons like Dr. Iyengar and Dr. Joshi and Professor Ramchandran from TFR, they won't stay for more than half a day in these kind of events. But that was amazing. And how this conference was organized, I formed an advisory committee with the help of suggestions from some of my colleagues. And then normally people say advisory panel is a decorative function, and you put their names and that is it, that ends the matter. But I didn't stop there. I wrote to all the people in the advisory panel. Mind you, those days computers are not there, it's only typewriters, and there was no quick communication. It was STD was there, limited way, mostly it is trunk calling. And I contacted all these people. CNR Rao was the IAC at that time, heading the department, and Dr. Iyengar in BRC, and like that, all the people, BHEL and AGM was there as the advisor. So all these persons, I started writing to them, and they all gave their consent to be in the panel, and they probably thought that's the end of it. I didn't stop there. I wrote to them again saying, now we are having a advisory panel meeting. Would you all please come? Of course, these are not the words I use, but if you're unable to participate, please send your nominee. So they all took it seriously. And Dr. Iyengar didn't come, obviously. He sent one of his senior people to represent him in the meeting. And he gave a lot of good suggestions. And from BHEL, he gave very good suggestion. So we are able to formulate the complete seminar, and everybody knew at that time, this is a very serious affair. So when people come to know that you are doing something in a very serious way, with a serious purpose, I think people cooperate. I mean, that is my belief. And of course, that seminar I will never forget in my life, because in the inaugural meeting, our Mr. Narayan, who is the Minister of State for Science and Technology in central government, he was the chief guest, and I forgot to thank him. That was a big mistake I made, and of course, Narayan, Minister, took it very sportingly, I believe, and it was I believe that that was a grand seminar held in the State Guest House. That was a brand new building at that time. And so that kind of set, I believe, a benchmark for events which followed, right? So the next possible event probably where I could play a significant role was Rakes conference. Of course, there were other events I was involved, but these are things which I'm reminded to share with you. I think this was Rakes, it was 2011, I believe. And this was a joint venture of 3 engineering colleges. I was not involved in the beginning, but apparently the conference was not taking off, and the 3 colleges are not cooperating, and some kind of issue was there. I was called quietly and said, sir, will you be a co-chairperson for this and try to do things? Because probably that person remembered my effort in the earlier conferences. So that again became, after it's not boasting, I was able to get everybody moving. And that was again a very good start for a serial conference, recent advances in computing applications. It was a serial conference, supposed to be held once in 2 years. And so I was there for 2011, 13, 15. But by the time of 2015, we made it an IT-enabled conference. We are able to use IT to simplify our administrative work, right? So you're even able to give a printed certificate with photo to the participants. And everything is computerized. So either the convener or the chairperson, whoever is involved, they'll be able to have a very easy place where to look at all this data. who is participating, who is coming, etc., etc. So that was another thing which I remember. So, and of course, going forward, I only want to share one suggestion. See, it is a great thing that we have this Wednesday meetings, inter-society meetings, that is somebody is taking interest to have such meetings. But I believe we have watered down our standards, right? If you keep our standards high, I'm sure it will be a very useful function. It will serve the society also. And just to give you an example, look at TED Talks. TED Talks, the speaker can speak only 20 minutes. That is the deadline. He cannot speak even a few seconds beyond 20, right? And you have to be invited for the TED meetings to participate, right? And if you could go on TED kind of model, right, for our inter-society meetings, which we are holding very religiously every Wednesday, I think IEEE's presence will be felt, right? After all, you know, the main purpose of IEEE is to bring technical people together so that there is synergy. And of course, I'm not sure we are doing everything we can. We are still behaving like an appendix of the international organizations. We should have our own mind. See, why don't we reward people in India with recognitions? See, it is not that recognizing people like Gopalakrishnan or Sridhar. It's good. They already had the laurels. They already have received enough awards. But I'm saying pick up people who are contributing very innovatively society. See, I'll give you one example. There is a company in Hyderabad. They make a robot which goes down to the drainage, you know, the sinkholes, where now presently people have to get in, you know, and it is very dangerous also with sometimes people could lose their lives. And this fellow goes down and brings all the muck to clean it up, right? And it's a very idea, right? And I think those people should be recognized. And when you recognize, and that will get published all over the country and, you know, all over the state at least first, and good ideas will spread. I can just give you one example because of shortage of time, I'm not going for more such things. So I think we have to recognize engineers who really do great things, you know, which affects the society in a positive way. I think we should show such things, you know, in our Kerala section. See, 2004, when I was a section chair, I would say it's God's grace, we were able to win the Distinguished Law Section Award for the first time in the section's history. And after that, I mean, many laurels have been coming to the section. But I think we should not rest on our laurels. See, we should really make something which impacts positively our own life in our state and our country. Okay, so with this few remarks, I will conclude my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajya Kumar sir, for going through your very difficult old days of conducting events, assessing information. Now I think it become much easy for the younger generation due to the technology.
Yeah.
Okay, so next let me go to the next speaker, Mr. Marley Muhammad, Life Senior Member IEEE. So Mr. Marley Muhammad was with IEEE for last 41 years. He was Secretary IEEE Kerala Section 1998 and Chair IEEE Kerala Section 1999. Mr. Marley Muhammad had his degree in electrical engineering from College of Engineering, Trivandrum. He served the KICB and retired as executive engineer in 1999. Mr. Lal joined IEEE in 1979. He was the treasurer of IEEE Kerala Section in 1993, secretary in 1998, and chair in 1999. He is also chair of CSI and IEEE. He is also a fellow of Institution of Engineers India and served as the honorary secretary of its Kerala State Center during 92-96. Now over to Mr. Marley Muhammad.
Sir Marley Muhammad, sir.
Hello.
Yeah. Yes,
Hope you
sir.
can hear me.
Yeah, clear, audible and
Yeah.
visible. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to meet our senior most people, especially PPP sir. Well, I joined
IEEE in 1979. At that time, I was working with the Kerala State Electricity Board in its research wing. As Sri Rajya Kumar said, in the research wing, we had to go for a lot of literature survey. And we were using the university library, our office department library, British Council library, and we had the opportunity to use the BSSC library also. So with the same reason that we cannot take the latest transactions out of the library. So we have actually, I was, Suhair and myself were both in the research at that time. So we have, Suhair have decided to join IEEE, and I think he has joined somewhere in 1978. I followed the next year, 1979. At that time, Kerala was a subsection. And in 1980, Kerala had conducted the annual convention and exhibition at the Kanakund Palace, and it was a great success. And most cherished things which I keep in my mind is our ability to meet great people like Dr. K.P.P. Nambiar and Mr. N.T. Nair and Suhair. I had the rare opportunity to sit before him in his office room as a member of the executive committee. Well, something personally has touched me is that while I was working in a distribution section, major section as the head of office, one of my subordinates approached me and said that, and asked me for a certificate because he has got an electronics ITA certificate and a private firm is hiring electronics people. So I just gave him a certificate telling him that this boy is known to me for the last 2 years. He has impressed me as a reliable lad who can be dependent upon any responsible work. Promptly, within a week, this boy came back to me and said he got the job. And it only later came to my knowledge that the people who were in the interview board were IEEE members. And when they saw my certificate, they didn't have any difficulty in selecting that person. So I thanked my connection with IEEE that at least it was beneficial to at least one of my subordinates at that time. Well, I was treasurer in 1993 with Dr. D.P. Kulkarni as the chair, and became subsequently the secretary in 1998 and became the section chair in 1999. I could also conduct the annual convention and exhibition in 1999 in Technopark. And I must thank my senior colleagues, Mr. Puritipi Varghese and Mr. Rajya Kumar. Gopakumar, who were both helping me. They were previous chairs. They both helped me, came out of the way in support of me, and I could conduct the very successfully the IEEE chair and the India Council representative and the region representatives all came to that function. Well, after that, there was recently in the last, there was an opportunity for me to be very grateful to the IEEE contacts I had. No, before that, I'd like to say something else also. Before my retirement, in my last 3 years in my office, an IAS officer came as the chairman of the KSCB. I was a junior officer, only an executive engineer. The first thing he did was asking for me. I have never met him before. He's made his special staff ask for where I am available in the office. When I came to his office, he said that you must sit with me and be part of my personal staff. I was wondering what happened. Then later it came to my knowledge that he had asked his close friends, engineers, for the name of a person whom he can trust undoubtedly with full confidence. And the persons, fortunately, he asked, they are all IEEE members. And actually, there were other IEEE members like Harindalal, Suhair, Venukar, Venugopal, etc. in the electricity board. But at that time, they were all have taken leave and they have left for Middle East for higher paying jobs. So I was the only available active IEEE man in the board. So I was touched the chairman's office, and he interested me with the job of creating an MIS in the electricity board. And that was the time when actually I worked round the clock and had the most satisfactory, job satisfaction I had. That was also because through my connection with the IEEE. And recently, last January, during one of the LMAG, that means Life Member Affinity Group meeting, I told my friend, a biomedical engineer there, that I am having a very low pulse, only 32 per minute or so. Then he said that, why don't you come to Sri Chitra Medical Center? We will have a checkup. Just bring a referral letter from a doctor. So I did so. And being a biomedical engineer, he can understand what a ECG and what the Holter monitor readings. When he saw that, he immediately realized that I am in a difficult position, and he came with me to the Sri Chitra Medical Center and contacted the doctor, and the doctor immediately put me to intensive cardiac care, and within 2 hours, a pacemaker was switched on me. So after fitting the pacemaker, I had to wait there for another 2 more days in the intensive cardiac care, and all the junior doctors came there and asked me, what prevented you from coming to the hospital before? I never realized that I was a heart patient. He said that I have come to the hospital just 2 hours before a total heart failure. So my life depends upon my contact with IEEE. But for the IEEE, I would not have been here by this time. So in every day, my experience with IEEE has been so satisfying. So thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you, sir.
So, thank you, Marley Muhammad, sir. It was so nice to hear your interactions and activities, and IEEE brought you a great trust and confidence in your organization, as well as it was really trustworthy. Nice to thank you.
Thank you, Marley Muhammad, sir. Thank you very much. Okay.
So next speaker is Dr. Madhu Mangal. Dr. Madhu Mangal is live senior member IEEE with 41 years of membership. And incidentally, we work together in Kaltron. So over 45 years of experience in R&D and engineering in the field of power electronics. And as head of R&D of industry and as head of government R&D institution, NEELIT, he was experienced in industrial automation, system engineering, it is UPS system, variable speed drives, and renewable energy, and designing various power electronics products. He was a BTech from IIT Madras and MTech from IIT Bombay and PhD from IIT Bombay. And he worked with the reputed organizations, Kaltron here in DC, and Nelco Bombay, then moved to CDT Calicut as director in charge. After that, he moved to Emerge Network at Thane as Vice President Engineering. Then he worked with Automators Alliance Limited, Noida as corporate head and R&D. He was involved in the development of various power electronics products like variable speed drives, UPS systems, solar photovoltaic-based products, various power converters for Indian Railways for coaches and locomotives. And he was also involved in the system engineering of variable speed drives for various process industries like steel, cement, etc. Presently, he is chief consultant in power electronics of Advanced Rail Controls Bangalore, engaged in the development and manufacture of various electronics and power electronics equipment for locomotives. He was regional speaker of IEEE India Council in variable speed drives. He was chair of IA and IE Joint Chapter and Secretary, IEEE Kerala Section. Presently, he is the chair of Life Member Affinity Group, IEEE Kerala Section. Now, over to Dr. Madhu Mangal.
Sir, Madhu Mangal, sir, please.
Yes, I've already unmuted. I've done everything.
Yeah. Now we can hear you. We can saw you. Please, sir.
not coming.
Can Alan unmute him?
It is clear, sir. You can start. You are audible.
Yeah. Okay, good evening, all of you.
Good evening,
Somebody
sir.
else's picture has come on the. Anyway, shall I start?
Yeah, sure.
My video is not coming there.
We can see. We can see you.
Yeah. See, I was asked by Kasim to give on two topics or two subjects. One is what IEEE, what benefits I got out of IEEE. The second part was a memorable experience, but I'm not talking about IEEE, my experience with IEEE, but experience during my career, which may be useful to the youngsters who are seeing this program. So first, I heard of IEEE first in 1973-74 when I was doing my MTech. We had a course on optimal control theory, and that staff member wanted each one to give a presentation on any topic relevant to optimal control theory. And he gave a hint that you can go to the library, you can refer to all this IEEE, IEEE, so many things. So that is the first time I heard of IEEE. And we had presented, we are supposed to present one paper. Just pick up one paper, recent paper, and present it in the class with all the students sitting there. So that was the first, the time I heard IEEE, this word IEEE. Then during my MTech project, I referred a lot of papers from IEEE transactions, IEEE, then IEEE, electrical engineering Japan, so many things. But many papers of IEEE were referred to. And my professor at that time had published a lot of papers in IEEE. So that was also another attraction towards IEEE. I joined Keltron in 1975, and in 1978, KPP Nambiar forced all R&D people to join IEEE. The reason he said is that every month you will get a spectrum. And that spectrum will be lying on your table. And morning you come to the office, you see this, at least you will just turn the pages. And you will get, just by turning the pages, you get a lot of ideas. So that was his idea of people joining IEEE that day. But of course, IEEE had all my technical career, the entire career, I had referred to IEEE like anything. And most of the things, most of the ideas you get from IEEE, then you build on those ideas and make your products. And my most memorable experience, you say, this is, I'm talking about one instance, which was in the early 1990s when I was working in Nelco. Nelco had an order from Tata Steel for automation of hot strip mill. So they had executed it successfully. And that time there was a lot of variable frequency drives to be used in that. And upon insistence of Tata Steel, they had imported all the drives from Westinghouse Electric in USA. And based on that experience, they got another order from Lloyd Steel, which is in Wardha, which also had some 450 horsepower AC drives, so many things, and so many drives were there. And they are all very critical. They are used for the roller table applications for the steel mill, where it is reversible. That's the first time being done in India. It will roll the steel first in one direction, then it will roll back in the opposite direction. And the last rolling is in the forward direction. And then it is wound made into a steel, that roll and then taken out. So it is highly critical. Nothing can fail, nothing should fail. And what Nelco that time decided, we had developed some 50 HP, some model. And based on that, we were asked, can you develop this 450 horsepower, so many numbers and all that. So he said, okay, we'll do it. See, it's all risk taking. And we developed for 50 HP that was put on the shop floor. And then our executive director, that was Mr. Mahashur, he wanted it to run with the exact load, whatever is at site, for 1 week. And it was cyclic load, because it's rolling in one direction, then rolling in the opposite direction. So it will be starting very fast, it has to start, stop very fast, return very fast, then again. So that's, it's a some 2 seconds starting, and then a few seconds of running, 2 seconds of stopping, and then again. So it's a 4-quadrant regenerative, fully regenerative drive. It has run in both directions. And nobody had developed that in India. And we had also not done it. But we made this 50 HP into that configuration. We ran the roller table, whatever was given to us. Initially, it was not performing at all. Then a lot of tuning, fine tuning, finally it worked. And then the company gave clearance for making this 13 or 14 or 450 horsepower drives. That's also another risk taken by the management. Now, why I'm telling all this? In many companies, in R&D, people want a product in 2 months' time, 1 month time, and 3 months' time, and all that. So here we had an executive director who had experience of R&D, who knows the pains of R&D, who said that you have said it is working all right, but I want to see that. And this is the load. So with all that, finally, this 450 HP drives, 13 or 14 of them were made, shipped to Lloyd Steel. And we were all waiting for the commissioning team to call us for commissioning. After a few months also, there is no call. So when we contacted service team, they said, we have already commissioned it, it's all working. And the marketing, after 1 year, the marketing fellow comes and complains saying that they are not giving us AMC because no, there's not even a single failure. So these are some, very good experiences which we had, and this gave R&D a lot of name in the company. The company had a lot of confidence in this R&D team, and that gives us a lot of happiness. So this was India's first indigenously developed 4-quadrant variable frequency drive, commissioned in such a critical application. So that was a memorable experience which I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Madhumangal sir.
So, thank you, Madhumangal, and it was a really wonderful experience you have shared with us, especially in the power electronics R&D. I think your experience now, it is having a very valuable to condition where India is going to make in India emphasis. So no R&D can bring out a product which can be compared with an MNC product. It will be really medium viability product that people should understand. When we move to manufacturing local products, it shall not be compared with such items of MNCs. So then only we can build it up. Okay, I think. Yeah. So next, yeah. Okay.
Let me introduce Professor Damodaran sir, and really no need for an introduction to Professor V.K. Damodaran sir. And even then, let me introduce and welcome Professor Damodaran sir. He was a section newsletter editor, then section chairman for 1991, then advisor for Gold Bar Young Professionals during 2011-15, then conference general chair of Innovative Smart Grid Technologies Asia 2011. And this international conference was under Power and Energy Society, PS, when I was the chair of PS Kerala chapter. So our Damodaran sir was the general chair of that international conference, and he was fully supporting the event. And I just remember that all events at that time. And so he was the general chair for that ISGT. That is the first one of the 6 international conferences all over the world happening. So we got that approved to conduct in December 2011, and the conference was held at Koilon Beach Orchid Hotel at Kollam. And so that is there. Then sir was the Government Liaison Chair 2017-18, then Consultants Network Chair 2020, and the General Chair of APEC 2021. And India Council, representing India Council newsletter for 10 years and 2 installments, 2 times. India Council Executive Vice Chair in 2011. Then representing Region 10 It is a life member coordinator, LMC chair, Artan LMC chair 2016. Then MGA and EAB, various subcommittees of EAB 2012 to 2017. Then member MGA life member committee 2017-18, and awards and recognitions. 2014 EAB Global Meritorious Achievement Award, Art and Education Activities Outstanding Service Award. Then 2012 Art and Historical Achievement Award for innovations in renewable energy applications for remote rural area of Africa. Then 2003 Millennium Medal IEEE President Outstanding Volunteer Award, India Council Chair. Then 1999 Management Leadership Award of Trivandrum Management Association and Gold Medal. Then to his credit, a number of events are to be there. And really I send all the short biodatas to all the registered delegates. And so now I invite, no, I am cutting short. I invite our dear Professor V.K. Damodaran sir to give his briefings. Sir, Damodaran sir.
Okay. Right. Can I get the screen changed?
Yeah, you are visible.
Okay, I'm visible. Fine. Okay. I think all of us have been sitting for long, and you may be feeling hungry, you may be feeling tired, but since Kasim sir has actually arranged 10 talks, I think we will have to put up with that. So I'll try to make it as brief as possible. And let me see. I'll first start with one thing, my blood group. None of you mentioned anything about your blood group. So I thought I'll speak about my blood group. That is B positive. In fact, my work philosophy is directly equated to my blood group. In all my profession and in IEEE work, I have been trying to be positive. So that is, whatever may be the thing, I am a terrible kind of optimist. Well, coming into IEEE, I heard about this professional society in its earlier form of AIEE while I was doing my master's in College of Engineering, Guindy, 62 to 64. We had to actually, for all our work and for our dissertation thesis, etc. Of course, it was by project, something like research itself. So we have to depend upon this IEEE bound volumes, which are actually kept in the PG library. That was when I was first introduced to it. But later, I was actually, what is the benefit of joining such a society as member, and whether we can actually become a member, that also was not known at that time. Then, of course, I was posted to IIT Madras or Calicut REC. So I thought 50 kilometers from my home, Calicut REC, I think I'll come back to my home state. So I came to Calicut REC. Then, of course, I was working. My career, of course, had not been continuously in teaching. I've actually been a rolling stone. I held several positions which are not in any way directly related to engineering research or this kind of technology advancement. But it has something. But all I would say is throughout my 7 or 8 positions I have held, most of them were actually building something new. In whichever institution I have been invited, I applied for job only for my first posting, that is Calicut REC. That was actually to CSIR. But later, all the positions I held were actually on invitation. And these were actually variants of professional job, technology management, R&D management, and sometimes research, consultancy, all these things, especially with UN. So in all these jobs, I used to make it very important that I network with people in the profession, and the best channel is a membership in IEEE. So whenever I selected engineers for profession, in either in teaching or industry, anywhere, either through PSC or through other organizations, or in my own organizations like science and technology, energy management, and all those things, I used to always find that is, if somebody is having a membership in IEEE, his answers are in a way different because his approach to the issue is different. And I used to always find that I never had an opportunity where an IEEE member coming for a job with his CV, I had to reject or feel helpless that I'm unable to take it. So this again gave me confidence. But the membership part I did when I was actually starting my part-time PhD research while I was in Calicut REC. Even though the library had a lot of journals, I thought through this membership, I can actually have access to some of the current research work. That was how I took, but then as Dr. Pillai mentioned in the beginning, those days, taking a membership and paying money was such a difficult thing. Not the question of salary part of it. At that time, I think I was getting 675, even though in my first career, this one, I was only getting 232 rupees. That is 2 years after Dr. KPP joined. So the point was that when you take a foreign DD for the membership, you have to actually go to the State Bank of India, give a lot of application, then wait for the sanction. Because foreign exchange was so much controlled. And with all the difficulty, you get this DD and post it by registered post. 2 times I had information from IEEE that the DD has not reached there. So my membership actually was broken. But finally, somehow I've found some ways when you can do it. But later, of course, I came on deputation to Trivandrum. And that was the time when I could actually also participate as a volunteer in IEEE activities. Initially, not with much post, but then gradually I stepped up my involvement, and that is how it came. And there I also got a lot of benefit from IEEE networking. For example, when I was director of Energy Management Center, having set up a new thing and putting a focus on small scale industries to be taken and their problems studied and solved, and then help similar small scale industries to replicate it. So we wanted to create certain models. That was when I, through the IEEE connection, I knew NT Nair, and we had a discussion. And he came up with a wonderful solution of saving energy and improving quality of products in a brick and tile industry, which does not use even electricity for its production. Only for light and other purposes, they may be using electricity. So this is actually a joint work that we did with the EMC team and Sri Nair's team. And like that, in several areas, we had actually done a lot of joint activities where my research link or my activity link was actually with people who are members or colleagues in IEEE. So this was one thing. Second thing is, I have actually worked in many kind of societies connected with profession, as well as NGOs working in science, technology, etc. But I have never seen a professional society or a technical organization of people who work in the technology area being constantly evaluated and rewarded for whatever work they do. So whatever achievements Professor Kashim pointed out is not strictly my own contribution alone. it is actually by looking at the activities that I organize and I do. IEEE has always been viewing these things, and this I think should be a lesson to our youngsters. Many of them actually ask, what is the purpose of actually paying a membership fee for IEEE? It's something big, but the benefit is that once you get recognized for even a small activity of yours, then you get more courage and more commitment into continuing in similar work and actually advancing technology as well as advancing our own professional arena. And that will benefit if you are a teacher, your own students and your community. And in the other way, if you are in any other industry or other research or somewhere, there also you will find that it is easy for you to pick up problems or solve the problems if you start communicating. So this is something which I have again emphasized in my IEEE career as well as in my own career, that engineers should be communicative enough. It is not enough if you are a good researcher. You should be able to convince your superiors as well as your subordinates who will have to work for what is actually the meaning of what you are doing, why you are doing, and what is its significance. All these things, if you communicate properly, you will actually enhance the quality of work and the value of work. So this is where many engineers fail. They actually neglect verbal communication or also written communication. This is something for which I find IEEE is actually doing yeoman service. In fact, when we all joined, most of us who are here, when we all joined, even under IEEE platform, we did not have many such activities. But now you look at, of course, the communication has actually expanded. Internet has come, computers have come, mobile phones with versatile capacities have come. So the whole scenario currently is sufficiently broad and very, very much expanded. But yet, even in these transformative years, from there was nothing except a typewriter and physical reference to a printed book, which when it reaches us, at least it will be 3 to 5 years old. So we had to actually work with that. But currently, we have actually an enormous amount of opportunity, and with a lot of student branches, lot of young professional fora, and various other society activities, which in Kerala section has actually spread into around 11 societies. So, and number of so we find that now students are actually able to have what you call a ladder or a step for going further up into the professional activities with the IEEE, what you call its platforms, its networking mechanisms, and its activity schedules. So this is actually something very great, and of late after my retirement, but of course I never retired even currently, even though not for salary, I'm still working. And I always feel that the message that we should actually give to our own younger members and student members is that this is actually IEEE is a growth engine. And if we can actually see that and take advantage of various fora and various possibilities of contact with people who are doing very advanced and serious work, these are all opportunities which we never had in the past. But now those things are possible. And I think I am very fortunate to see that IEEE as a professional forum and people like us who have been working in the area of technology have this kind of a very open, broad, and prosperous surroundings in which young engineers can actually grow. We are able to see that. We were fortunate to live to see all these things. And now, Professor Qasim has actually given an opportunity for all of us to share this kind of ideas, and let me stop with that. Thank you.
Thank you, PKD sir. Thank you very much on your nice words and talks. Now I invite our Kumar Velu, Dr. Kumar Velu, Secretary of Education Activities, to introduce our Harindra Lal sir. Dr. Kumar Velu.
Yes, sir. Very good evening to all of you present here. It is really immense pleasure for youngsters like me, as VKD sir said. I understood how IEEE Kerala section reached globally today. Thank you very much to all the senior IEEE members for sharing the valuable maybe speech as well as by spending your time. Let's come to my duty. I would like to introduce Engineer A.G. Harindra Lal sir, who is live senior member of IEEE. Harindra Lal sir is one of the active senior member in our IEEE Kerala section. He was the secretary of IEEE Kerala section for the year 1987 to 1989 as well as 1991. As he was the chair of IEEE Kerala section for the year 1992, and then he occupied a chair in the Society Activities Committee, IEEE Kerala section, electrical consultant come trainee. Presently, he is the director of Anandaganga Institute of Engineers, Trivandrum. Sir has received several awards, in particular, Outstanding IEEE PES Chapter Award for the year 2017, Outstanding Life Member Affinity Award for the year 2017, Outstanding India Council Voluntary Award for the year 2018. So SAR is the professional association of various chapters. With this brief introduction and by considering timing, I am handing over the session to Harindra Lal sir. Sir, please, I welcome you on behalf of IEEE Educational Activities Kerala section. Welcome you, sir.
Good evening to everybody. It's a very pleasure to be here to share 9 other senior IEEEans of the Kerala state. I will make it brief because the time is also fast. If I wanted to make a 10-minute presentation, right, and 30 minutes short. Okay, my association with IEEE, I used to be in cricket parlance. The 3 innings. The first innings from 1982 to 2002. 82 I joined IEEE with the persistent motivation from I have been resisting for years. But finally, I circumvent, made the plunge. In 92, I became the IEEE member, but it made a big hole in my pocket. That's the major point. But still, I maintain the subscription till now until I became the life member. As soon as I became member, Zuhair made another point. I made it the chairman of the membership development committee, and assigned another job to organize a national workshop on computer application course. So we went to together to all the major institutions, engineering institutions of South India, IIT Bombay, IIT Madras, IAC, and met the head of the institutions there who were working in this field, and talked to them, and they were very supportive and cooperative. That's the first time I felt that camaraderie of the IEEE from the senior professors there. That was a great success. The electricity board was also participating in that. My organization was also participating in that. They made they got a cue from this one and purchased the first PC in the electricity board and undertook the power system for planning studies, in-house power system planning studies in the Kerala. So my association with the IEEE, I could have, because of networking, I had a very vast networking of professionals in the various organizations, and which made me do some innovations in the electricity board. other than the first computer and power system studies, the first non-invasive cable fault location was made possible at that time. The pilot project of the windmill at Kotamilla was the other one. And the other one was we have organized a cloud seeding in the Idiki Basin with the help of the Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology, Pune. In 1992, after serving different roles in treasurer, secretary, vice chair, and treasurer and chair in 1992, in between, in 1988, while Professor Gopati was the chair, I was secretary. At that time, we made a point that we will get more money from the IEEE. At that time, the bonus was based on the programs conducted. So we made it a point that we will organize 52 talks a year. We got the first time, because at that time, we organized 52 talks from 5:45 to 7 o'clock. But later, it was continued by Institute of Engineers by the joining with other 8 professional bodies of state, and it has been continuing till last March 2020, first Wednesday of 2020, and it was stopped because of the COVID condition. And it is happy to say, and I'm proud to say that I could drive that as a webinar from April 15, and it has been running now, even now. I take the recommendations made by Engineer Rajya Kumar and make some modification in that and go. Actually, we want to go it in a really international way. The participants are international, the speakers are international. Now we are having 15 participants from 15 countries. In 1992, after becoming chair, I left India. The second phase starts. Second phase, even though I went to Saudi Arabia for a job, there was also a very interesting episode. I lost the job. I think I was selected first initially after 3 months. Then I went in search of a job. There the Saudi Consolidated Electricity Company, the power utility there. I went and met the topmost director, technical director there, went personally and introduced me. Seeing my CV, later on I understood that it was not an interview, it was a chit chat. Because I was a senior member of the IEEE, and later I understood that he was also a senior member of the IEEE. So and I was given a job. More than that, I was asked to bring another person from India for his other department. So that is the camaraderie of IEEE. I still feel that this is valued during my period in the Middle East from 2013 to 2008, to 1993 to 2008. After 5 years, I went to UAE. There also, there was a section, UAE section, with the zero activity with the 200 member section. We offered me and Suhair offered them, we will manage your section. So they told me, you become the chair. No, it's not necessary. I can help you in running the show. We have the experience. From 2000 to 2008, until I left, initially it was a 200 plus member, zero activity. When I left in 2008, it was a 3,000 odd members and lot of other student branch chapters, other student branches, other chapters, some 5 or 6 chapters, 10 or 12 student branch chapters, affinity groups. It was then one of the most active sections in the region. Then the third phase starts from 2020 when I came back to Kerala. When I went to the executive committee, because the past year has a free entry to Execom, because they are the member at large. So I went there. I could see no familiar face there. But at that corner, I saw one familiar face. I remember to have met him when he was the second lieutenant to, or first lieutenant to Professor Rajya Kumar, Professor Kasi. So he was the only person, familiar face I met them. Then I helped him organize a quiz contest, which he has been doing for so many years. Later on, I became the vice chair again here to the Foreign Indian Society when Vijayana was there. Then during 2016 and 2017, I became the chair. That was a very, what shall I say, very effective way of organizing programs. The training which I acquired during my earlier period from 1982 to 1992 to 1992, from the stalwarts like KPP Nambiar, Professor Dr. D.S. Rani, Professor Gomadi, Professor V.K. Damodaran. I could use this and implement and execute these experiences there in the UAE section, and later on in the PS chapter here. And in that period, the PS Kerala chapter became the largest chapter in the world. And we got the award, as Marley said, the outstanding chapter for the outstanding PS chapter. Another award also given when I was the chair of the LMAC, Life Member Affinity Group, Outstanding Life Member Affinity Group. And it was a very satisfying three awards continuously. Thank you very much. And now I am reviving the Wednesday program as a webinar. I expect support from all the people here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Harindralal sir. Thank you very much for your narrations. And now I invite our Kumar Velu sir to introduce Chandramohan sir. Kumar
Yes,
Velu,
sir.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. This is really another great opportunity for me to introduce Professor P.S. Chidambaram sir, Chandramohan sir. I am really very glad about Chandramohan sir. In fact, I was having some moment to talk with him when he was in Amrita University. I really welcome you, sir, on behalf of IEEE Kerala Section to this meet. Professor P.S. Chandramohan sir is former director of ANART of Government of Kerala and former principal of Government Engineering College, Parton Hill, Trivandrum, and former principal of Sri Chitra Tirunal College of Engineering, Trivandrum. He was professor of electrical engineering at College of Engineering, Trivandrum. I think for short duration of time, Chandramohan sir was with Regional Engineering College, Calicut. He is founder, office bearer, and former president of Energy Conservation Society, founder president of the Society of Energy Engineers and Managers. He is a fellow of the IEEE Institution of Engineers, India. He has more than 80 technical papers, a few books, a number of popular science articles and literacy work, around 100 radio and TV programs. He has produced many PhDs in the area of energy. He is the first recipient of Professor K.M. Bahauddin sir award for the best engineering teacher of Kerala, which carries the cash prize of 1 lakh rupees. He is also recipient of 4 awards of Government of Kerala. With this brief introduction, I am very proud to invite Chandramohan sir. I welcome you, sir, on behalf of IEEE Kerala Section as well as my own behalf. The dais is yours, sir. Please share your experience.
Thank you, Dr. Kumaravel. Good evening, all of you. Let me thank the organizers, especially Professor Muhammad Qasim. I know that I cannot take 10 minutes now. I'll try to make it as brief as possible. I have scribbled something. I have to do some online editing now. Already I am also very hungry. I'm a member of IEEE since 1982. So this is my 39th year of IEEE membership. I have moved to the level of life senior member in 2019. I'm grateful to Dr. K. Gomadi, my teacher, and later my senior colleague in the Department of IEEE at College of Engineering, Trivandrum, for my membership. She only introduced me to the world of IEEE. I was in the executive committee of Kerala section for quite a long time, worked in various capacities like branch councillor, chairman of student activities, professional activities, membership development, chapter development, secretary Kerala section. I could form the Power Engineering Society chapter, later named as Power and Energy Society chapter in Kerala section in 1998. Very glad and proud to see that our PES chapter is now one of the best in the world. Special thanks and congratulations to Professor Kasim, Dr. Bijana Kunju, Engineer A.G. Harindralal, and Engineer A.K. Suhair for their untiring work keeping PES chapter very vibrant. When I look back, my involvement in IEEE has greatly helped for my professional growth. As a researcher till recently, as Professor KPP sir was telling, I have also moved to quarantine because, as you know, UGC and later Kerala University also released an order that no one other than the regular service should guide students. So it is comfortable for me to give attention to my favorite hobbies now. So I left the level of a guide, research guide, when my slots were full. And in fact, 2-3 students were nearing completion and written their thesis. I had to leave to some other faculty members as their guides and leave it. So now in quarantine, so I'm happy with my beautiful hobbies. I could do it because as a researcher till recently, it was a necessity for me to update my knowledge. So I could do it mainly through IEEE publications and websites. It is a pride for me to mention that my first technical paper was an IEEE international paper, which I could present at IEEE 96, held at Milwaukee, USA in 1986. In those days, it was a rare attempt. Those were the days without even emails and internet. Communications were depending upon letters and postal departments. I remember the words of Professor KPP sir, 48 rupees stamp used, and there was not even a good word processing software. My paper was printed in matte paper sent by IEEE with the 2 spare papers. Using electric typewriter, electric typewriter, the printing was line by line. I'm glad to see that some of the professors who helped me to materialize this trip are present in this discussion meeting. Professor KPP, sir, he only shaped my paper. I remember that when this paper was up, the abstract was accepted, I had to make the full paper. I never had the experience of writing a technical paper. I was a popular science articles in magazines and newspapers, including Madhubhumi, Weekly, Manorama, Weekend Magazine, etc. So I made a paper in that level and went to Professor KPP, who was director of LBS Center that time. He looked at it and told, this is not technical paper. You take an IEEE paper and study the format and rewrite it and come to me. He only shaped the paper. Professor VKD and Mr. N.T. Nair helped a lot to materialize the trip. Another point to come to my mind is regarding the membership in IEEE. For about 20-25 years back, faculty members were very less in IEEE Kerala section. Kerala section. In 1993, when Professor Gomati was promoted and transferred, I had to take up the responsibility of student branch counselor at College of Engineering Trivandrum. But later in 1994, when I was transferred to Government Engineering College, Kannur, I had to continue as branch counselor at College of Engineering Trivandrum. There was no other faculty member, including electrical and electronics department, as well as electronics and communication engineering department, as corporate member. First Students' Congress of IEEE Kerala section was held in College of Engineering Trivandrum in 1995 when I was students' activities there. Those days, also, I had to act as student branch counselor at CET, operating from Kannur. Fortunately, the situations greatly changed later. Nowadays, a lot of faculty members are members of IEEE. This situation arose because teachers had to pay for IEEE membership fully from their pocket. Even now, this situation prevails in Kerala. There was provision for part finance from government as per ACT rules for maintaining membership in professional bodies. At the same time, a few research organizations like ERNDC, later TDAC, were providing financial assistance to their employees for maintaining membership in professional bodies like IEEE. Another special advantage of IEEE membership is that of contacts. IEEE is a forum for meeting place of several professionals from different organizations. It is mutually beneficial to academicians as well as practicing engineers. It resulted in many combined work, organization of conferences, seminars, workshops, projects, etc. There is a special or unique feature in Kerala. The Institution of Engineers India, Kerala State Center, provides a shelter to many professional societies. It's a meeting place for many professional bodies like Institution of Engineers India, IEEE, Computer Society of India, Aeronautical Society, etc. etc. Regular Wednesday meetings, it was already told here, helps to grow fraternity among professionals. This is a unique feature of Kerala and it is being projected elsewhere also. During the last 2 decades, IEEE activities have been expanded greatly. In terms of new publications, new societies, etc., the spread is really tremendous. Student membership growth is also very high. A number of student branches are functioning very systematically and with varied activities. Many of their activities are helpful to society, like extending help to the needy and poor. To mention one such commendable occasion is their effort during the recent past flood situation in Kerala. IEEE headquarters, unlike in the past, is now providing a number of incentives and awards for various activities. I will close with one incident from my memory. I have not written it. I remembered it when Mr. Marley Muhammad was saying about East 99. That time I was section secretary and he was section chair. The program was arranged at Technopark, Travancore Hall, Technopark, beautiful hall of Technopark. Everything was set. We were there. Marley Muhammad was there. Mr. Koiridu Varghese was there. We had set everything, including a beautiful banner we fixed and came back. At 6:15, the regional news, Pradeshika Varta, announcement came. Naale Hartal Aachirikkunnu. IEEE global president is to come. Well arranged program. Everything set at Technopark, Trivandrum. How will we conduct the program? Participants are mostly staying in town, in various hotels. I telephoned one or two of them. Next step was, that day only I realized the student power and the value of our student branches. I telephoned to my engineering college, it was evening. First of all, I think I telephoned to Professor VKD and got the amphitheater made available through the registrar. Night, evening time, office was closed, but I could do it. through him. Next thing was to telephone to men's hostel. Not reply. I couldn't get the phone. When I telephoned to engineering college ladies hostel, I got some of my students. Asked them to come to IEEE Harmony Hall at Ambujavilas Road. I could get some 22 students from engineering college. Barfooting basis, Marley Muhammad was there, Koiradu was there, these students were there. We rushed to amphitheater. Beautiful banner was taken to Technopark. But where is the banner? There was one banner spared for putting in the bus for the trip to Technopark for the delegates. That was taken and put as backdrop in the amphitheater. Next day, these people could not sleep. During night, they were climbing up the trees and fixing the banners. Students were in their full action up to late night. Next day, we could do the Those days, even mobile phone was not there. The only fellow having mobile phone amongst us was Mr. Koiridu Varghese. I remember that education minister was to inaugurate the program. Anyway, we could do it. Next day, we moved the program to valedictory address was begun by the IEEE Global Headquarters President. So anyway, that day we could, luckily the Bandhu was for only one day. That day we could conclude the program at Travancore or Technopark. Thank you all for patiently listening.
Yeah, thank you, Chandramohan sir. And since the time is running short, I invite our Suhair sir for the next session. And let me introduce Suhair sir and for a minute. And Suhair sir was the founder, secretary of IEEE Kerala Section, and chair of, currently he is the chair of IEEE Power and Energy Society Kerala Chapter. He was the chair for 2018, 2019 and 2000. Currently he is again the chair of Power and Energy Society Chapter, and he is also the chair of Wakam Maulavi Foundation Trust, Trivandrum. And he has got lot of experience and long experience in power system development in system planning studies from 400 kV to 11 kV network in leading utilities in both UAE and India. Trained in power system analysis tools such as PowerWorld Simulator, PSS Bar-E, SIME to conduct load flow, short circuit and stability studies. Then knowledge of cost estimating, budgeting and financial analysis of medium and large capital projects and progress monitoring. Knowledge of demand forecasting techniques and analysis. Trained in integrated management system comprising of quality management system. Then proficient in writing high quality reports, handling correspondence and developing office procedures, possesses strong interpersonal relations and communication skills, wide knowledge of technical, geographical information system, database, web related graphical and office automation software. A long experienced Suhair sir. I invite Suhair sir for the session. And all the participants, sorry that we are slightly delayed, but please bear with us. Suhair sir, please.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good evening. At the outset, Guru Mudarku Pranama. Professor KPP, Professor V.K. Damodaran sir and Dr. Gomadi are my teachers. They're really fabulous teachers. I wouldn't say they're simply teachers. And my first connection with the IEEE is during 74-76 year in College of Engineering, Trivandrum. CET had a galaxy of extraordinary, passionate teachers, starting from Professor KPP, Dr. SNI, S. Narayan Iyer, Hariharan sir, Gomadi teacher, and Murli sir, Krishnamurthy. So it's a very knowledge atmosphere. And IEEE's presence is, everybody can feel that. KPP sir's kayilundairunna spectrum. He said about the spectrum, and he had back volumes of so many transactions. And I believe we gifted it to the college library. And that gave a lot of opportunity for the students to come in contact with IEEE resources. knowledge resources. So that's the first thing about IEEE is a source of abundant source of knowledge for people. KPP സാറിനെ കുറിച്ച് പറയുമ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് ഈസ് മഹാപ്രതിഭ എന്നൊക്കെ പറയാനല്ല. So his knowledge extends beyond boundaries. He is a good motivator also. And he used to tell students, PhD പഠിക്കുന്ന ആള് is standing something like on an elevator which is going down. So unless you upgrade your knowledge, you climb, you will not be able to maintain the same level. So in life, to maintain this, even if you did doctorate or PhD, in course of time you will be going down. So to maintain the level of knowledge, you have to keep working. So that's the kind of advice so KPP was giving to the students. So teachers are really great mentors, and we are lucky to have very gifted, very student-oriented teachers in the past and even now. So that was my first contact with the IEEE, the knowledge source, is the greatest knowledge source. In 1978, I joined KCB after working in some industries. It was in the research wing, and again, research wing is knowledge related. And I thought to become a member of IEEE to maintain some level of knowledge. That time in 1978, it was Kerala subsection under the Bangalore section. And we had one activity in a year. It was an annual general meeting where everybody come in a hotel, have a sumptuous lunch. All the stalwarts will be there. And Sridhar, if I remember the name correctly, from Keltron, he was a secretary and treasurer. So I first meet N.T. Nair in one such meetings. We became friends, and he told, he asked a $1 million question at that time. He asked me, IEEE ingenekka poya madiyo? Yeah, that was a very probing question. It's not in line with the IEEE vision and plans and all that. So we started working for a betterment, better organization. And that followed some revamping of the IEEE. And NT became the secretary, I became the treasurer, KPP Nambiar became the chair, and M.R. Sitaraman of Keltron was the vice chair. So that way, subsection was reformatted, started working. Then we were working towards making it a section. So in 1983, Kerala subsection became a section. KPP chairman, D.S. Rana vice chair, NT secretary, and myself treasurer. So 1984 was special. We had a meeting in Trivandrum, hosted the India Council meeting in Trivandrum. And T.V. Balan, India Council chair, came there. And he brought one news that IEEE's Centennial Section Congress is taking place in Boston. 1884, we know the formation of IEEE. In 1984 is 100 years, and they want to celebrate the first Centennial Section Congress. And T.V. Balan put one offer. Anybody going, any officer going from your section will be given a financial subsidy or grant of 5,000 rupees. So NT and me together thought, why not we go? Why not we try? Go means it is not no sanction and all that. So we tried to send a nomination from Kerala section. NT Nair and Suhair are coming. That time there is no fax or anything like that. It was a teleprinter message from KCB. So next day, Pat came the reply, yes, your nomination accepted, and for you, there will be a host in America, on senior member IEEE. He'll be hosting you, and they'll be very happy. So that was something, a pleasant surprise. IEEE is international nature, an organization without borders. Person from India going in, staying in the US as a guest of a US member. That's IEEE, that's spirit. Unfortunately, NT Nair could not join due to some very inconvenient reason. And I had to travel all alone to Boston. And my host, Mr. Douglas, is a telecommunication engineer. He came, received me at Boston. So Boston, we know, Massachusetts is a very cultural city, the home of MIT. And so it was a very good exposure, traveling all the way. And you have friends in US throughout. You could go here, there, Europe. So that revealed the power of IEEE, the comradeship of IEEE. Person in the USA is your friend, is hosting you, you're living in their home, meeting people. So that's the power. Networking is a great power. And that's what we have felt in Kerala section. The composition was the College of Engineering, the Kerala State Electricity Board, the Keltron, and BSSC. They were almost equally divided. They were partners in the membership. So you could walk down to Dr. Rane and say, I want some help. We had at that time in KCB doing planning studies, and we wanted powerful computers. And this kind of networking, connections, friendship enabled the connectivity. That's what IEEE is providing beyond the level of knowledge supply. People, and they consider you as your equal. Once you're an IEEE member, you're all equal, supposed to be. And you can walk in and talk and mentoring. And you meet at KPP Nambia's room to decide things. That gives you kind of privilege or proud that you and KPP Nambia are sitting together and discussing something is beyond imagination for any other platform. So I think that is what IEEE is offering. Apart from helping you to build, stay tuned with the knowledge, you're in a position to connect with people. And as Harindra told, in '84, we did a All India seminar, CAPS, Computer-Aided Power System, in which we could connect with all brilliant people in the power industry. We went to Indian Institute of Science, where we could meet Dr. Parsardi, a production expert, Dr. Kincha, Dr. D.K. Subramaniam. They all came to Trivandrum to teach you on the latest in power technology. And Madras College, Gindi, Abdullah Khan on stability. So this is what IEEE is offering. And young people, all what they need is initiative. IEEE can give you a platform. It is you to make use of it to the best of advantage. And I'm sure your CV is going to be enriched by a stamp of IEEE member or senior member. And all the interviews that we have attended in India, abroad, so I'm sure they might have noticed this presence of IEEE. One of the interview I attended in Dubai Aviation City Corporation, they asked me only one question: what changes did you make in your previous organization? So if you did not make any change in your previous organization, you're unfit. Yeah, they're not interested in your technical knowledge or skill, but transformation, the changes. So if you remember the founders of IEEE, Thomas Alva Edison or Graham Bell or Tesla or Marconi, they changed the world. They transformed the world that existed before them. They brought something new. So this should actually be the inspiration for all the IEEE members, that you are the successors of such great legends, inventors who changed the world. And we should be doing justice to our forefathers by looking in the society, what it needs and what we can do alone and what we can do together. And I'm sure you will all be benefited, particularly youngsters shouldn't miss. Once we joined, we never miss. Maybe I transition year, 1 year I lost. That's all in the whole journey of IEEE. But I'm grateful to IEEE for so many things. In UAE, we had a very good, Harindra and me could do really wonders. We revived from a dead section to one of the most vibrant section. And in 2010, we had a meeting of PES headquarters executive. All the president and vice president, everybody came to Abu Dhabi. They enjoyed the hospitality. And one of the key person of IEEE UAE was Abdurrahim Kaib. He became the Prime Minister of Libya later. And today I just checked his name in the net and he died in April. So it's very sad. He's a very soft-mannered, very knowledgeable person. So you meet such people in IEEE, wherever you go. So that's the treasure of IEEE. And I advise all our young student members, friends, leaders, not to leave IEEE at any time. This is going to really enhance your professional career. It's going to help you. I'm so glad that I could see Professor K.P.P. Pillai sir after a long time. Professor Damara sir is always with us. Teacher is always inspiring us. And I see handsome face of T. Ravindran. He has been a good friend and finding a lot of young people here. And I'm sure the experiences of seniors, how they have fared in their life, how they have enriched their life by knowledge, working together, will also be a motivation for all of you. Wish you all the best. Thank you, Professor Kasim sir, Varghese sir, and Dr. Kumaravel for organizing this wonderful event. We are very happy to be together, particularly with our reverend teachers, APV sir, VKD sir, and the government teacher, and all our friends here. Wish you a very pleasant good night. And keep the flag of IEEE flying very high. Thank you. Yes, finish.
Sir, I think your mic is muted. Sir, please unmute your, sir. Kasim sir. Kasim sir.
Yeah, okay. Unmuted, right? Now I think it's audible, right? I am audible, right?
Yes, audible.
Yeah, okay. Let me thank Dr. K.P.P. Pillai sir, Dr. N.D. Nair, then Dr. K. Gomadi, Rajya Kumar sir, Marley Muhammad sir, Madhumangal and Damodaran sir, Harindralal sir, Chandramohan sir, and Suhair sir for accepting our invitation and deliberating or speaking in this webinar. Thank you all. Thank you very much. My thanks goes to our section chair Sharada ma'am, then Shabari vice chair, then Sunida treasurer, then the life senior members Korit P. Varghese sir, and Gayatri is also with us. Gayatri, the former my student and former head of department of TKMCE, she is also here. Then Dr. M.B. Rajesh, Bobby Philip, Dr. Bijana, and Dr. Shobha Manakal, and all the participants. Thanks to all these VIPs and to all the participants of this event. A few had left because of the time has gone up to 9:15, and thank you all. And my thanks goes to Alan and the team for the technical support also. Thank you all. Thank you very much. And see you with the next session after 2 weeks with the remaining senior IEEEians. Thank you all. Thank you very much. So the meeting is, anybody to say any words? Sharada ma'am? Shabari?
Well, good evening, sir, and good evening, all senior members here. I know we've overshot time a lot, so I should probably keep this under 30 seconds or so. Well, all what I've got to mention at this elite moment is that for youngsters like us, advice and every single word that comes out from senior members is words of wisdom, it's words of advice, which we get a lot to learn from and which we get a lot of paths opened up. So thank you so much, sirs and madam, for opening up so much of information to us and guiding us through difficult times as well, and to take the section forward. With all your blessings and all your support, probably we can take Kerala section to the next level possible. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Shabari. Now, Sunita, few words.
Thank you, sir, for arranging such a marvelous program. It's very inspirational program, very motivational for young members like us. And thank you so much. That's all. Its time is too much. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you,
Thank you all.
Vakil sir, thank you, Kumar Velu sir, and all the participants once again, and for the speakers and all. Good night. Thank you all.
Right.
Why an excellent
Good night, sir.
Yeah.
Good night, sir.
Yeah, good night. Good night.
Good night.
People, sir.